You can call me Mystic Mike because I predict these things.
Adrian Yanez takes on Daniel Marcos this weekend at UFC Fight Night Tampa, Florida. This is going to be a really good stand-up fight, in my opinion. Daniel Marcos, the undefeated, surging contender, taking on the crafty veteran with crispy hands, crispy boxing, and Adrian Yanez. Adrian Yanez coming off of a win over not the best guy in the world, Vinicius Salvador. Was able to snap a 2-fight losing streak by TKO that he had across 2023. One loss to Jonathan Martinez by leg kicks, another one by TKO to Rob Font. Now, there's no shame in those two losses. Adrian Yanez was looking like a world beater before those two fights, but I look at the competition that he's been fighting. The only really good guy he's fought is Davey Grant, who he's good. He's not elite, so it's concerning that the second that he steps up to the plate against two really talented guys, he's getting kind of beat up. Either beat up and finished, honestly. Finished by Rob Font. Martinez just battering his legs. He just couldn't continue after that. Daniel Marcos, on the other hand, I think he's 16-0. Very good striker. Very technical on the feet. Throws a really snappy, strong jab that he fights behind really well. Throws a lot of leg kicks. He'll beat up people's legs. He'll poke at your stomach. Throws step-in elbows, spinning attacks. So he's very, very proficient on the feet. I feel like Daniel Marcos is just going to be a little bit too technical for Adrian Yanez in this one. Adrian Yanez coming off of, like I said, a couple defeats, got back into the win column, but I don't think he's going to be good enough to beat somebody like Daniel Marcos. I think Daniel Marcos is going to beat up his legs really badly, kind of make him start thinking about that really bad beating he took from Jonathan Martinez, get him second guessing, get him thinking more about the kicks than the strikes coming up top. And Daniel Marcos has got a lot of power. We've seen him finish a lot of different people recently. I mean, he almost finished John Castaneda, was beating up Orichi Lang before the illegal blows. Split with Davey Grant. Again, Davey Grant's good, but he's not elite. Simon Oliveira, who was 18-3, 18-4 at the time, knees to the body. A lot of TKOs, some decisions on his record. I think Daniel Marcos, he's going to be too defensively sound for Adrian Yanez's boxing. He always keeps his guard up. He manages good distance. He's patient. He won't rush in. If he wants to, he'll wait for you to attack and he'll counter. But he's also good pushing forward and landing those leg kicks. Keeps a very high guard and lands his leg kicks. Doesn't take a lot of damage. He did get tired and hurt at the very end of that Castaneda fight. I don't know how much stock to put into that though, because he's looking really good before that. Adrian Yanez, he throws good kicks himself, but he's got good boxing. I just don't think he's going to be able to outbox Daniel Marcos. I feel like those last two losses he had against those guys are just going to be in the back of his mind. The damage that he took in 2023, I don't know if you get your confidence back with a win over a guy like Vinicius Salvador. I feel like they're kind of throwing him to the wolves now that he's lost to two top-tier competitors. Now they're like, okay, well, now we're going to feed him. We're going to feed him to these young up-and-comers, and either he continues winning and fights for his spot back, or we're going to allow the Daniel Marcoses of the division to make their name against these UFC veterans, these I wouldn't say household name, but if you're not a casual, you know who Adrian Yanez is. So I feel like Daniel Marcos is he's gonna be too good on the feet. He's very hard to take down. I know Adrian Yanez, he has a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I'm not sure what Daniel Marcos is, what his rank is. Doesn't have a lot of submissions. I think the only submission he's got was back in his amateur days. But that's because he's good at keeping it on the feet. He's good at managing distance. He's good at staying on top of his legs. He's never really out of position to get shot on and taken down. He does get held up against the cage, but I don't think that Adrian Yanez is going to be powerful enough to do that. So I'm going to go with Daniel Marcos in this one. I don't think he's going to be able to put Adrian Yanez away. I think he's just going to outpoint him on the feet for the majority of the fight. He might get hurt by Yanez because Yanez got really good combinations, really good boxing, but I think he's got a good chin on him. Rarely do you see him get hurt. You've seen him get hurt, but I haven't seen him get put down on the ground yet. So go with Daniel Marcos. A lot of momentum behind him. 16-0, 31, barely in his prime. Reach and height are going to be pretty much identical. Daniel Marcos, 5'7", 69-inch reach. Adrian Yanez, 5'7", 70-inch reach, so he'll have a 1-inch reach advantage. The one thing about Daniel Marcos that I know, he's from Peru. A lot of his fights, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 fights were in a Peruvian promotion. You know there's not going to be tons of 135 talent out of Peru. I know they're bringing down guys from Brazil and everything, but a lot of his prior fights, just guys with not a lot of experience, kind of 50-50 records. But then he gets onto the Contender Series. He beats a guy in Brandon Lewis, who I don't think's that good, doesn't finish him, gets to a decision, somehow still gets a contract. But then he knocks out a guy named Simon Oliveira, who's 18-4. At the time, you know, then he beats Davey Grant, Richie Lang. I mean, these aren't top tier opponents in the UFC, but he's looked really good. I would say that Adrian Yanez has definitely fought the better competition. I just think that Daniel Marcos has too much momentum. Obviously 16-0, just fought in June. Adrian Yanez, he fought back in May, so both of them, you know, 6 months or so since their last fights. I'm just going to have to go Daniel Marcos. I think he's just going to be the more technical striker. He's not going to get taken down. He's going to outpoint Adrian Yanez throughout 3 rounds and get a decision. Thanks, guys.